This week, we continued our sermon series called So You're a Christian, with a discussion about growing in our faith. But the question is, are we ever done growing? And if so, how will we know? Hi everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Sermon, our weekly series where we take a look back at our Sunday sermon and dive into it a little bit further so we can learn, grow, and go deeper with Jesus. My name is Derek. I'm one of the ministers here at Southport Heights. And like I said, we continued our sermon series and we talked about growing in our faith. Spiritual growth, spiritual formation, spiritual maturity. We went through all the things there in 2 Timothy, and it was very powerful. But here's the thing. What I kept thinking about after the sermon, because I'm actually the one who preached it, was that are we ever done growing? I mean, surely we reach a point where we're finished. You know, we have grown all we're going to grow, we've matured all we're going to mature, and we're finished now. We know everything, right? Well, I'm not so sure. But the thing about it is, surely we're done at some point. So when is that point? Well, I want to go back into 2 Timothy, and we're going to go to chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. This is chapter 4, verses 6 through 8 of 2 Timothy, which we read 2 Timothy chapter 3 the other day in the sermon. Actually, it was yesterday at the time of this recording. But I want to read chapter 4, verses 6 through 8, and it says this. As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. The time of my death is near. This is Paul speaking to Timothy. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful. And now the prize awaits me, the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on the day of his return. And the prize is not just for me, but all that eagerly look forward to his appearing. And again, that's 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8. Paul is contrasting his life with Timothy's here. I think that's a very clear indication. Paul says certain things here that are so important and so crucial to recognize when compared to Timothy, who's his dearly loved son. He's a young man in the faith. He's got a lot going on. And so Paul's contrasting his life with Timothy's life. We have to understand that Paul here is writing about himself in the past tense. The past tense. He says he's fought the good fight. Fought. He's already fought it. It's past tense. He said he has finished the race. He's not racing. He's not in the race. He has finished the race. And number 3, he has remained faithful or kept the faith. It's all past tense. That's how Paul writes about himself. Fought, finished, kept, remained. It's all past tense that Paul writes about himself. And yet he tells Timothy to continue to endure in the present tense. There's something about this contrast that Paul says, I have already done this. I have finished. I have fought. I have kept the faith. But for you, Timothy, you have to continue. You have to endure. You have to keep going. Stir it up. All these sort of things that are in the present tense. Because here's the thing. We're never finished growing in Christ. We're never finished. Our growth always continues throughout our lives. We are always in the present tense until such a time when our life is complete, when we have finished, when we have fought the fight, when we have kept the faith. And when it's over, then we gain the prize that Paul talks about in verse 8. Only then is our growth complete. And maybe even then, once we sort of pass on from this life, maybe our growth just begins because it's a whole new life at that point. But as for right now, we must live in the present. And what I mean by that is not just be aware of what's going on around you in the present. We must live in the present tense. We must, instead of finish the race, we must be racing. We must be running the race. Instead of fought the good fight, we must be fighting the good fight. Instead of having kept the faith or having remained faithful, we must be keeping the faith or remaining faithful. So we must live in the present tense. Because Paul here, I think, is contrasting himself with Timothy, so much so that it's important for us to remember. Paul's writing about himself in the past tense, writing about Timothy in the present tense, and reminding Timothy and us that we too must live in the present and let our growth, our spiritual maturity and all that continue. It's an ever-present, progressive life that we live. So, as we read Paul and as we take on the role of Timothy in this, let us remember to always live in the present. Hey, if you enjoyed this and you'd like to hear the entire sermon called Time to Grow Up, well, just visit southportheights.church/media. There you'll find this sermon along with all of our other sermons as well. So just visit southportheights.church/media. And if you'd like to check out all of our other great online content, such as more episodes of Beyond the Sermon, as well as deeper worship and other great things, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page so you don't miss any of our other great online content. Thanks so much for watching today. My name is Derek, and I look forward to the next time we can join together and go beyond the sermon.